Jacob Stevens, welcome to another WORCS race report. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Hey, WORCS had some exciting stuff going on over the weekend. How was BLYTHE?
BLYTHE was cool. The facility's really cool. The track looked absolutely amazing. I mean, I was a little blown away. I was a little jealous I didn't get to ride it. The track was really cool. The MX looked super fun. The desert looked super flowy and fun. It was a little rough, but all around it looked like a really, really good weekend. And I hope we go back.
Well, I saw some photos from Beau, and they're just like, it's almost like a straight drop off, out in the desert area.
Yeah, the pro section was the pro section, and it was pretty crazy. There was no logs or tires or K rails or anything like that. But they pretty much made this like free, open wide lane of a pro section, kind of in like a raw desert area where there was just like ravines and unmarked trails almost. So it was actually a really cool pro section. I think once the guys found the fast line through, everybody kind of started to take that fast line, but the first lap was hectic, and it definitely separated a little bit of people in the very beginning, but towards the end, it wasn't really much of a deal breaker.
How were the overall entries? Could you tell?
I would have to say they were probably less than Havasu, which was unfortunate. There was still a good amount of people there, pretty normal ATV round, I would say. But I wouldn't say it was huge or small. So, it was a decent turnout.
Well, that's good. Any youth information for us?
Not too many youth riders left again. I think there was your normal youth riders that are always out of your race. The youth classes are all kind of jammed together, and they got to ride a little bit more desert than I think they normally do. I guess it was kind of like Havasu. The track wasn't too long. So it was definitely cool to see them get a little bit more track, or they fit well on the motocross track. There wasn't anything too crazy big or scary or anything like that. So from my opinion, they probably had a really fun weekend.
Well, that's good. That's good. Let's hope we can get those numbers up.
Yeah.
Was the temperature hot out there?
Yeah, it was pretty warm. I mean, I think the temp said around 75, maybe 80 on Saturday, I think it was, but it felt like 90 out there in the desert, so it was pretty warm. I know I was talking to Travis a little bit. He was dealing with some heat problems with his Yamaha and all that stuff, and it's tough to keep those bikes going in that heat for so long. So it was definitely a factor in how the race turned out with people breaking down and all that stuff. But definitely the heat was a tough one this weekend.
It looked like in the women's pro WORCS that Torrey kept up her winning streak.
Yeah, she pretty much walked away with it. The race wasn't unfortunately too crazy exciting. Torrey, I'm not sure if Torrey pulled. I don't think Torrey pulled the whole shot, if I remember right. No, I don't think she did. But she quickly made her way to the front, and she kind of just started to click off laps. Lane Fryer settled in a second, and Dakota Hibbler didn't have the greatest start. She started, I think, in last, and she battled with Donna Ellsworth and Heidi Coleman for a while, and ended up making the passes on them. And then they kind of just rode their pace for the rest of the race and finished where they sat. Definitely the coolest battle to watch was the third, fourth, and fifth place battle. For a while, it was pretty some tight racing, but once Dakota got around both of them, they everybody kind of just started to spread out a little bit and just kind of finished where they were.
Well, that's kind of the way it sounded in some of the stuff that I read online that Torrey got out front and checked out.
Yeah, she kind of just walked away with it. I mean, she rides well. She's super fast, and the girls behind her, they're younger and are just getting into this women's pro class, so they're a little less experienced, and they definitely now know what they need to work on, and they got their work cut out for her to catch Torrey.
Exactly. It's gonna, if she wins it this year, it'll be 5 in a row.
Yeah, which is extremely impressive to
Exactly.
maintain a 5-year championship. So, yeah,
you got to be doing something right.
yeah, girls behind her definitely have some hard work to put into, but I think they're both willing to work really hard, and hopefully we can see some tighter racing up here in the future.
Well, that's what we all hope for. The production A and the open A. Did you get to watch any of those?
I didn't get to watch the production A and the open A class. We got kind of slammed over at the JSR tent. But from what I heard, they were good races. I want to say Cole Fryer pulled the win in open A. I'm not exactly sure how the results came out for open A. I didn't get to watch those, unfortunately. I did make sure I made it happen with the pro races and the pro-am and everything.
I think Christian Rojas won the production A.
Did he?
Is
Nice.
What I think I saw.
Yeah, that's pull up the results.
Yeah, we're both doing the exact same thing. I don't even know if the results will come up this early.
Yeah, they're up. I got all the pro-am and pro results. In production A, it was Joseph Seamus, Cole Fryer,
Okay.
and Uriah. Gage Lever 4th, Ryland Stedman 5th, and Diego Uriah 5th or 6th. I'll tell you what, Joseph and Cole Fryer, they, throughout this season so far, they're the ones that are really kind of going at each other. Wyatt Rock, which I think raced open A, I think he raced open A, not production. Them three kind of are the ones that are, really tight knit battle racing at the moment. So it was cool to see Joseph get the win on Saturday. Because Sunday definitely wasn't his day, unfortunately, but it's seeing it now, it's cool to see.
Who won the open then? But did Christian win the open?
Let me check. Open A. It was Ryan Hilt that won open. Ryan Hilt, Joshua Jackson, Wyatt Rock were the top 3.
And Wyatt's young. He's coming off the 250.
He is, and he is very tiny on that Honda. He looks like he doesn't belong, but he sure does ride it like he belongs in the class. And I think if he grows up a little bit, gets some size on him, he's going to be a really, really, really good rider.
That's he's probably 14.
Yeah, and he unfortunately for him, he's 14, but he's about the size of a 12-year-old still. So he's definitely got some growing to do. I could tell he kind of struggles with keeping the bike down on the ground in the corners. He kind of tips over a lot on 2 wheels, and at that point it's weight, and I could see that his body size and weight, definitely he struggles with it a little bit, but he definitely looks like he belongs there.
That's great.
Yeah.
You do have younger riders coming up through the ranks. It looks like the pro-am, or I mean the production A and the open A have quite a few entries. Yeah,
there's about 12 to 13 in each class, and they all race together on Saturday with the women's pro and all that. So that group of classes is definitely, I think, the biggest turnouts of the weekend, other than the side by sides. But there's a lot of people in pro-am, to the point where I think the pro-am results were 12 this weekend, but I know at Havasu there had to have been at least 18 riders on the track. So it's definitely cool to see how big the class is in pro-am. There's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of different battles going on for different positions throughout. So I know some of the people didn't race pro-am this weekend just because of the 2-hour thing. But the classes are very big in the A classes, and going into Pro-Am.
It's good though, because you have new faces. There's a lot
Yeah.
of new names in there that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, a lot of the women are racing Pro-Am on Sunday. I know Lane Fryer's been doing every single race. Dakota Hibbler did Havasu. Heidi Coleman's doing, the Pro-Am races. So it's cool to see them kind of step into the Pro-Am class and kind of give some of these boys a run for their money. So yeah, and it's an interesting class to watch.
I wonder what the fear was going 2 hours.
Yeah, a lot of people, the biggest, I think, issue a lot of people had with it was, the bike and how hot it was, and how hard it was going to be. Those last 30 minutes of riding were going to be on the four-wheeler. I know a couple people weren't really prepared for it with, maintenance wise on their bikes, just because they didn't know about it until this upcoming week. I think a lot of people weren't too thrilled about it. I think if it was, a dead set rule that people could be prepared for more, I don't think it would have been as much of an issue or as many complaints. But there were a lot of riders that weren't too happy about the 2 hour thing. So I don't know if they're going to keep it. I didn't really get to talk to Randy too much about it. Their whole thing was, the dirt bike riders get, 2 hours on the track, and so the quads should, but
I agree. Make it stand out. Make it the toughest guy wins,
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously, Beau was the toughest guy because he won.
Yeah, he was. We'll get into the pro race, but he put on a show at this past weekend, and old man still got it.
Right. The Pro-Am race was won by Cole.
Yeah, by minutes. I'm not exactly.
Well.
Oh, very well. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I know Joseph Simas pulled the whole shot. For the first probably half hour, 45 minutes, they battled really hard, and Cole called him and passed him. And then just kind of started to click off laps. I talked to Cole after the race. His bike started to sputter a little bit at the end, so he kind of let up and rode 50% just to make it through the race, and he still came out with a win. So he rode very well. I knew he had it in him. But once he got out front, clear track, empty mind, he was gone, and nobody in the Pro-Am class really had anything for him yesterday.
There was a couple of new faces on the podium, it looked like, as well in the Pro-Am. Did they have some issues with the 2 hour time frame?
I know Wyatt Rock, something happened to his quad, so he ended up DNFing. Joseph Simas, I think something also happened to his quad, because he ended up not finishing as well. But a lot of these guys were kind of struggling, like I said, bike wise, keeping the bikes together for that 2 hours. I think that was definitely one of the biggest hurdles to get over this weekend with the heat and all that stuff. So a lot of people broke, unfortunately. I think a couple guys were really hard on their bikes riding wise in the first hour, which affected them in the last hour. The pit definitely was very, they only had to do one mandatory pit. So, that was a very technique kind of thing to do, when to do it. Everybody kind of did it around halfway, which obviously was probably the best, because you couldn't really split it up too much, because those quads don't go too much further past an hour. So,
right.
it was the 2 hours was interesting. I never got to really experience it riding wise, so I don't know how much of how crazy the actual race was. But the physical aspect of it, and you could tell there were a lot of people that were tired around that hour and 20 minute mark, and just kind of set their really tired pace and just kind of finished. I know a couple of the guys in the pro class, their goal was to just finish, make it through the best that they could, and a lot of them weren't really prepared for it, just because it was such a late notice kind of call. So yeah, a lot of the guys' mindset was just kind of like finish, do the best that they can and finish wherever they finish. So yeah, it was interesting.
it's kind of crazy that on the West Coast, that 2 hours is detrimental, where I think it's the speeds that they're running, and the heat factor as far as temperature goes.
Yeah, I think it's just how hard those quads get ridden in that time frame that I think is so difficult, and I think that's why it's really kind of up in the air for debate still, that not everybody wants to do the 2 hours just because they think it's going to be harder on the machines and more money, more rebuilds and all that stuff. So I don't know if it's going to stick. I know some riders have that they want it to stick. Some riders have where they don't want it to stick. They want it to go back to 90 minutes. So I don't know if, at the end of the year, maybe Randy takes a poll on, making the decision to switch it to 2 hours for the season next year. From what I heard, I don't think they're doing it for the rest of the season so far that I've heard. I'm not 100% sure on that, so everybody don't hold me on that information. But
the first race back is going to be 2 hours.
Yeah,
Ready.
it might be. So I'm gonna have some work cut out for me.
Right. Then again, you might be the freshest one, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
So, Travis hole shotted it.
Yeah, Travis pulled a hole shot, and he maintained a little bit of a gap for the first. For the first maybe half hour of the race. Maybe a little less, maybe the first 20 minutes. And then Beau came out, dead last. I don't know. He couldn't get his bike started. I know he ended up pulling.
Which one did he ride?
He ended up pulling the hybrid motor out of his race bike and putting his MX production motor in, because he didn't have his WORCS motor or other production WORCS bike with him. But from what I believe, he pulled the hybrid motor out and put a production motor in. So I don't know why he didn't get the bike started. I don't know if it was electrical start or kick start. I can't entirely remember right, but all I know is I saw the whole shot, and I wasn't paying attention to who was still sitting there. I was watching everybody else, and Travis come by. Logan Huff came out second. Braxton came out. Actually, I think it was Austin Brextor and then Braxton, right out of the hole. Logan Huff ended up going down on the first lap. He ended up not finishing the race. He crashed pretty hard. I know he's okay, but he was pretty banged up and kind of mentally defeated that he crashed the first lap. I know I talked to him before the race, and he was feeling really strong going into it, and definitely wanted to be up there with them boys. So he got a great start, and unfortunately for him, he was coming down a hill and kind of just went over the bars and crashed pretty hard. But yeah.
Psychological, was it a psychological thing from recovering and it just scared him maybe? Or
I don't think it was because of the recovery or anything. I think he was very mentally defeated. I think he was very just upset that he was so eager to get out there and do well, and first lap going down like that is he was just pretty upset about it. I think he was more upset than he was hurt, luckily. So I'm not sure exactly why he didn't finish. I don't think it was because he was hurt. Maybe it was a bike issue or something like that. But unfortunately for him, he didn't get to finish. Braxton got into second real fast. I would say about 30 minutes into the moto, Beau went from 30 seconds down off the start to right on Braxton's tail. So he was definitely the fastest on the track at that moment. Braxton, Beau caught Travis, and there was a three-way shootout for a good 45 minutes after that. Pretty much all the way up until the halfway mark when they pit. So about 40-45 minutes, they were nose to tail around that track. It was a very exciting race to watch. You could see where Travis was faster than the other two, and you could see where everybody had their sections where they were faster. But for the most part, they were running identical lap times. They were on top of each other. It was some of the best racing I've watched from a WORCS race in a very long time. So it was a really good race to watch. I know Beau had made his move around Braxton, tried to make his move on Travis. Travis ended up not giving up and holding his line, made Beau spin out a little bit. Beau ended up losing a little bit of time, but shortly after that caught right back up. I know the passes happened in the pits, not like they passed in the pit, but they all went in at the same lap to pit. Travis stopped right at the beginning of the pit, right when you entered. He filled up. Braxton stopped a little bit further ahead. He filled up. Beau stopped a little bit ahead. He filled up. So when they came out, it was Braxton, Beau, Travis. So the like completely reversed positions. Travis said that the roost and the dust was he was kind of choking on the dust, so he backed off a little bit. He wanted to kind of catch his breath, set his pace again, and then run back up. And Braxton was all over Beau still at that point, or Beau was all over Braxton at that point. Braxton was leading, and then Beau, just kind of put a charge on, made the pass on Braxton. Travis ended up catching Braxton, and then I want to say, I'm not exactly sure what happened to his bike, but he did end up blowing up or breaking down and DNFing at that point. And then yeah, it was pretty straightforward after that. Right around when they hit the hour 20, hour and a half mark, everybody kind of was split up, and races finished out where they finished.
And Beau just checked out.
Yeah, Beau was gone. I mean, he got in front and did what Beau does, and just kind of started to click off seconds per each lap, and next thing you know, he was 30 seconds out front, and we all knew where the only way that any of the results were changing at that point was breakdowns or DNFs. I know Cody Stanford he had a really solid race. He came out up in the top 5, had some good battles, and I know once he got past, he went into 4th, and right around after Travis broke, he was in 3rd, so he was on the podium, and all he needed to do was kind of finish. He had a huge gap on Austin Brextor, and I want to say his bike blew up as well around like the hour 45, hour 50 mark, so like almost at the finish line, but I know his bike ended up not making it, and then Austin Brextor kind of just fell into a podium, which was super cool for him. He hasn't been doing this work stuff for too long, and we all know him from the MX days. He was a super good MX rider, definitely one of the fastest MX guys out here on the West Coast at one point, and he kind of just rode his race. I know his goal when I talked to him on the gate was to just kind of finish the race and get through it. He's got a baby, he's a dad now. He don't have the time to put in all the work like these other guys do, so his goal was just to finish, and he did exactly that and ended up getting on the podium.
Well, that's congratulations to Austin Brextor. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool to see.
Where did everybody else finish out?
I think it was.
Did Roberto show up?
Roberto was not there. It was Kenny Sanford in 3rd, Cody in 5th, and then Travis, Mike Harris, and Logan Huff. So there was only 8 of them there. It definitely wasn't the best pro turnout that we've had. But yeah, it was top 4 were realistic. Top 4 and Mike Harris were the only ones that really got to finish the race, other than not DNFing. So yeah, like I said, that 2 hours definitely put a toll on those boys' quads, and they were riding the piss out of them for the first hour and a half. So yeah, some of them just didn't make it.
Do you know if Beau switched the hybrid because he was having issues with it, or he went back to the production motor?
I think he was having issues with it. From what I heard, he was having a lot of like technical issues, and the bike wasn't running the way he wanted it to, and he just pretty much said screw it, pulled the motor out, and threw a production motor in just to be safe than sorry. I don't know what he's going to do for the rest of the year. I don't know if he's going to be done with it. I don't know if this was his breaking point, but I know he's pretty frustrated with how the hybrid worked out.
I hope that he continues to work on it, just for purposes of that, it possibly to keep the Honda alive. That's where you're going to end up going.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if he's going to just keep riding it and racing it, or if he's just going to kind of throw it in the bike, work on it at home, try to work out the kinks, and then maybe come back and race it at the end of the year or next year or whatnot. But yeah, I'm not sure what he's going to do. It was he was definitely fed up with it this weekend from what I know.
I can totally understand a portion of that. But for the most part, round 4 of the WORCS was a success. They had UTVs at the same time, right?
Yeah, that was typical schedule. The UTVs got to race after the quads.
It looked like Beau got on the podium twice for the 2 classes he rode or drove the UTVs as well.
Yeah, and he's racing a stock Honda Talon. So he said that I talked to him a little bit about it. He said things slower and slow, but a lot of these guys break down or something like that. And he said that freaking Talon is like a tank. He said it doesn't break, nothing happens to it. He said I barely have, maintenance on it in between rounds, and he said I just go out and race and have some fun and finish where I finish.
That's pretty awesome. That's
Yeah.
Honda.
Yeah, he said that thing. He said it works great, but it's definitely a little slower than the Polaris and the Can-Ams. But those guys break all the time and have issues. So he ended up being on the podium twice. I mean, he shreds that thing. I got to watch him on Sunday a little bit. He flies in those cars. It's crazy to see him go from a car to a quad and to a dirt bike. He's the man that does it all.
Yeah, I saw a post after one of the dirt bike races that he, shook the dust off the CRF and went out and rode it, and got on the podium on that.
Yeah, so, he's the man that does it all. He's good on everything.
Unbelievable, guys. 42 and still dominating. That's pretty great stuff out of Beau Baron there.
Very cool.
Well, with Austin Brextor getting, I believe that's his first WORCS podium.
Yeah, I think that is his first WORCS pro podium, at least I would say. I know he hasn't raced a lot of WORCS in the past, so I would assume, yeah.
That separates the points back out. That's going to move somebody into third maybe, and take Travis and put him down a little, and that'll put Braxton a couple points behind Beau.
Yeah. Yep, Braxton will be those 3 points. I think they were tied, right? When we talked about it.
They were tied
going into it. So Braxton will be 3 points behind Beau. I want to say Travis probably still has third position, but he definitely lost a good chunk of points this weekend. So he's got some work cut out for him to catch back up.
Did he get over the 50% threshold?
Oh yeah, he definitely was coming.
So he got a finish.
Yes, he did finish. And he was coming. I was kind of gutted for him. He had a heck of a race. He led for the first hour of the race with those guys on his tail. I got to talk to him after the race, and Travis, he's always kind of positive, and regardless, he had a smile on his face. But he was coming, and he told me he wasn't done yet, and I think he could have at least battled a little bit more up with those guys towards the end. And I don't know if it would have changed the outcome, but I know right before he blew up, he was making the pass on Braxton. And right as he was trying to get around Braxton is when the bike kind of just shut down. They were going down a straightaway side by side, and his bike kind of just cut out and died on him. I want to say a piston cracked, but I kind of went over the bike a little bit with him, and I couldn't 100% determine what it was, but I think a piston cracked.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it was a hot day, very hot day, and that track was super fast and high speed. So, I mean, they were wide open for 75% of that track, So there's definitely a toll on those machines. There's definitely a lot of rebuilds going to go on after this race.
Oh man, that sucks. But we got to do what we got to do. Thank you again for covering the race for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll be in touch for round 5, and we'll
Glen
get
Helen.
you on there again.
Yes, sir.
Glen Helen is round 5.
Glen Helen. Yep.
Oh, that's excellent. It's always a good race there.
Yeah,
and
it's always
probably
fun.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, it might be a little hotter than BLYTHE was.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be warm.
Yeah, why couldn't they always? If you have Glen Helen in the February, it's gonna rain. But when you have Glen Helen later in the summer,
it's hot.
It's gonna be over 110.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot. I know next week here in Arizona, it's looking like the high 90s, so it's getting warm quick.
Are you ready for that?
I don't think so. It was hot today. I was outside. I got to do a little work from home. I had to do some work for a job, but I was outside in the front yard kind of organizing my truck and getting everything situated for the week and stuff. And I know it was like 78, and I had to look at the weather. I was dripping sweat. I'm like, man, it's hot out here. I looked at the weather app, it said 76. I'm like, there's no way it's 76 right now. It feels like 90. So
Oh,
it's getting hot. It's coming fast.
well, it was pretty warm in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Humidity, always humidity there, but I think it was nice.
Yeah, you guys had a beach, right? You guys were on the beach?
No, we were in town. We were in the
Oh, were
city.
you?
Yeah, we had a party for the daughter and new son-in-law, and
Nice.
that was pretty fun. And then on Saturday we just hung out and went and had dinner with the kids, and Sunday morning got up, had breakfast, and came home.
It's very cool. It sounds like a good
Yeah.
weekend.
You know
getaway.
what? On Friday I actually did nothing, and yeah, I took a nap. I'm old. Leave me alone.
Hey,
In the
vacation's what you make it. Relaxation.
And we had breakfast, and I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go lay down."
Yeah.
Early afternoon, woke up. Yeah, okay, I'm ready to go now.
I don't blame you. Vacation. I mean, you do what you want on vacation, right? Nothing stopping you.
I gotta wish it was a vacation, but you know, just a couple of days off is, I guess, the length of the vacation I get.
Right.
Here we are and back at it. But again, hey, thank you for covering it.
Always.
I hope JSR did really well.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for them. They we definitely did, I guess, probably just as good as Havasu. So it was good.
Hey, as long as you're covering it, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, we're there. We're having a good time. It's cool to still be at the track, even though we're not racing, and it's definitely gonna be something fun to do while we're there, hanging out at the weekend, and you know, we get to socialize with a lot of the riders and parents and stuff like that. So I like it. I enjoy it.
So your dad has to bring you in to work because he found somebody to talk to, and
I'll
it's
tell you
not
what,
working, right?
my dad's pretty he likes to cook, which is I think another reason why he took on doing this stuff. So he likes to cook a lot. So he's, you know, stands at the grills, and sometimes he'll disappear over to tire blocks or over to Doug or you know, to go talk to somebody, and somebody will come up and order something, and either me or my mom gotta hop on the grill and cook a little bit. So it happens every once in a while, but he's pretty he's pretty persistent on being the one that cooks. So
Oh, I haven't talked to your dad in a couple weeks. I'm
yeah.
gonna have to call him up just to shoot the shit, because
You're
there's
gonna have to
always
get
a
out
good.
to one of these WORCS races and try one of these cheesesteaks. I'll tell you what, it's the best cheesesteak you'll have on the West Coast. I can guarantee you that.
I'm definitely going to. Definitely going to. We'll see what we can work out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Hey, again, thank you for covering the races. And you know, that's a WORCS round 4 in Blythe. Thank you very much, brother.
Absolutely, it was a good time.